Hi, everybody. My name is Margaret Ledford. I'm with Engage at GableStage, and joining me today is Kunya Rowley, the creator of My Black Body Is for Engage at GableStage. That'll be premiering on August the 7th on GableStage.org. Hello, Kunya.
Hi, Margaret. How are you?
I'm well, and yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good, actually.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, how you ended up doing theater or theater type projects?
Yeah, so my background is primarily in opera, and I went to school in opera. I went to Newell School of the Arts here in Miami, Florida. I graduated from an opera program. Right after graduation, I kind of realized that I really enjoyed doing things that were outside of the scope of just classical music, and so I, started auditioning for some theater things and did work with a couple of regional companies here and theaters here. And then a couple of years ago, I think what I really found was I wasn't doing a lot of projects that resonated with me just fully and like my whole self. And so that's kind of what drove me to start Huge Songs. And so it was started with the support of the Night Arts Challenge grant. And the idea behind Huge Songs is to celebrate and explore Black culture through Black music, Black artists, Black history. And so everything that we try to do is interdisciplinary. It, kind of traverses different genres, including theater, including classical music, including spoken word, including movement and dance. And so I think that's really now what's driving a lot of the work that I do. And it's kind of always exciting to be able to find ways to talk about and amplify Black stories through various art forms. And so this is another great opportunity to be able to do that.
Can you tell me a little bit about My Black Body Is, the project for Engage at GableStage?
So My Black Body it's a interdisciplinary performance. And, I was thinking about what does it mean to be in a body that before you've even opened your mouth, you've done anything, there are already these like preconceived notions about who you are, what you are. And so what does it mean to be in a body that is without just because of the color of your skin is over sexualized, is celebrated, is traumatized, is beaten, is disdained. And so thinking about that, I wanted to create something that spoke about that and had those themes that also was interdisciplinary. And so I reached out to a couple of really incredible artists, all who have, various ties to South Florida. So one is Rebecca L. Hargrove, and she's an opera singer and an actress. And then Ace Anderson, who is a spoken word artist, but he's really like just this incredible creator of just all sorts. I mean, he is an actor, spoken word, does film, has incredible editing skills. And then we wanted to kind of use like visual imagery as well. I think it was important that for them, as much as possible, we were all kind of creating in the safety of our homes. And so like, what could we, or the safety, just safely, creating safely. So what could we also do that was like, and incorporate that was going to be interesting visually, and that still really spoke to the piece. And so, I reached out to a really great friend, Rodney Jones II, who is a fantastic photographer and visual artist. And he has a series called, it's the Melanated series. And it's just these really powerful photos of Black people and of Black life. And so, so that's incorporated into this as well. And I think overall, the idea is that this is talking about, yes, Black trauma and using art songs, classical art songs and spoken word and imagery to talk about Black trauma. But there's also a lot of, we want to highlight Black joy and we want to celebrate what it is to be Black. Because I think so often we can get so weighed down by just the trauma. But I think that what's going to help us move forward, in addition to really acknowledging that, is celebrating what it is to be Black.
Why this story?
This story is important because it's not just, it is bigger than myself. It's bigger than every artist that's a part of this project. This story is unfolding daily in what is happening in our country. It's unfolding daily in what we are dealing with personally and emotionally and spiritually. And I think for me, this was, and not to, I mean, selfishly, this creating this work has allowed me the ability to really talk about these things and feel these things. And I think that's important. I think it's important that we feel anger, that we be angry, that we be upset, that we be sad, that we be furious. I think it's okay that we feel joy, that we question things. And I think for me, this is what this story, which is, it's one of too many. I wanted to be able to use art to talk about that.
And joining us are Kunya's collaborators for My Black Body Is, Rodney Jones II, Rebecca L. Hargrove, Ace Anderson, and Joseph Cloud. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
So what was it like to collaborate on this process?
I think one of the things that was really powerful for me in bringing and asking all of these incredible artists to kind of be a part of this is that everyone's kind of brought something different to this project. And I think everyone has added something that would not have been possible had they not been a part of this.
I really enjoy the collaboration that is building something from the ground up, but also taking elements from what people already have to sort of create a story. It's been really cool to be able to get hear everyone's voice, and then writing for each individual voice was really cool, because I write a lot of poetry for myself, and I write it so that I can perform it. So now writing for other people to perform my poetry that I would normally speak was really, really fascinating. These are their words, you know. I literally called each person and, you know, asked them what they thought, and then just synthesized their words and was able to create from that seed that they gave me. So that was really cool.
It's been a very interesting journey so far, to say the least. I've never collaborated, especially through the Zoom process. It's like my first kind of Zoom moment. So it was definitely interesting to kind of see like how us actually coming back together to actually kind of like to make sure things were actually progressing. But it's been fun, and also it's been also like a challenge, like Ace said, like to trust someone with your words and to have them speak for your voice and then actually speak through you in a way that sounds right to you was very much like a surprise on my effort, and like thank you so much, Ace, for that. That was definitely a very much welcomed part. So like, oh wow, like you can see through my voice. So.
Coming into this, every aspect of it has superseded my preconceived notions of what I thought we were going to create, and then in each Zoom call and in each week and each session, it really evolved into something bigger than, and I don't know, Kunya, if you would agree, like bigger than the original idea or concept, that like once we all got together and collaborated and brought our individuality and our ideas and compounded them on one another, it was like, oh, we could expound on this, and oh, let's not forget about to talk about this topic or this view and perspective of Black identity and culture, because we're not monolithic. And one thing I love to do in presenting the classical voice in my body is that 9 times out of 10, when people think of a classical singer or an opera singer, I'm not what they expect, right? So it was very important to me, at least, to present my portion with my voice. And then I appreciated having Ace's original pieces to then also reflect other parts of me that like do not involve this very elevated art form, but that is still very deeply rooted in my Black experience. So it was definitely a process and a journey, and a cool one to just see where we all bring our individuality together and create this really awesome piece.
Yeah, it was really incredible collaborating with people from different parts of the country, and then keeping everyone not so much on track, but like, you know, reminding Kunya there's a question in the group chat, or about the spreadsheet and there's a hole here, and you know, how are we going to transition, and then listening to or watching everybody develop out how they wanted their piece to look and feel was pretty incredible. And the shared moments and the shared movement that developed in each person's sort of part of the story, I thought was really special. And I think it's pretty powerful. Everybody really came to the table.
Why this story? Why this story right now?
Now, because now, you know, and not because any other time in history it wouldn't have been just as valid or as important. And if you're an artist right now and you weren't inspired to create something meaningful that speaks to the times that we're in right now, between the pandemic, between, you know, losing our brothers and sisters in the streets, and not that that's anything new, but it's amplified by the fact that we're all just sitting at home and we have time to process. And I think even myself, in this Corona time, I've been processing my own life experiences and realizing that in my own Black body, I still have privilege. I have female privilege. I have light skin privilege. I have educational privilege, privilege in how I was raised and where I was raised. And that along the lines of me still saying, like, our Black experience is not monolithic. Here you go, you have this piece where you have different people speaking about their experiences in their Black bodies. Because so often are we flooded with stereotypical images, or just images of one type of Blackness, that the masses just think that's it, that's what's Black. And I hope this challenges people to question what is Black, because it's a made up construct, right? But what is Black culture? And I think it's truly the culture and what we're rooted in, and using our voices to speak about our experiences. If not now, then when?
It's definitely been a bit of experience for the fact that, right, like Rebecca said, like, you can't help but kind of feel like we're in the moment we're in. And it's definitely a moment where I recognize the true intersections of what it is to be Black and other, or any other tagline or adjective you would like to describe for yourself. So I felt that it was very important for, like, me to take up space. I thought it was very important to me to be a bit more unapologetic. I definitely think that I know as myself as a Black artist, I typically will censor myself and censor how I may say things to make others comfortable. But this was a space where I was not really willing to just kind of be quiet or just kind of like be in the background. I felt like whatever I had to say is what I said. I wasn't here for necessarily to be, I wasn't here to be quiet. And I felt like I needed to be loud. I wanted to scream. Like, this moment in this isolation, it's kind of like you feel somewhat alone. So it's like I'm screaming alone, and I felt like people need to hear me. So it's like, if not a time to create, like, when?
Before Corona, you know, not just before Corona, but my philosophy typically is, you know, if you're speaking truth and people aren't listening, then stop talking to them, right? But like Rebecca said, in this time where everyone is at home and listening, right, now is the time to speak truth. And when Kunya approached us with this project, he had said that, you know, we are, as Black people, we're always so, you know, it's like a stigma, and we're sort of trapped into a bubble of what people call us, and typically it's negative. It's a negative outlook, and so we have a chance to really celebrate the color of our skin and the color of our journey, right? And so it's so beautiful to have Rodney's pieces in the background while we're performing all of this to celebrate our melanin, you know, celebrate what we were born in, and not feel like we need to not feel like we need to highlight our oppression yet again, you know. But we can celebrate what we've accomplished, what we've done, our stories, the things that make us laugh, the things that make us want to hug each other, and I think that that's what this piece is really about. It's really a celebration.
You know, I never want to forget the tribulations, the trauma, the fight that our ancestors have really, I mean, dredged through to get me to this point. But I think that part of that also needs to be, and our story needs to be, in being really joyful and really proud about who we are and really unapologetic about telling our stories.
Correct.
Yeah, I definitely think we owe it to our ancestors to celebrate, right? Like, because of them, we have the privileges that we've been afforded now, you know, and we do them a disservice if we're only talking about the bad and the negative, and we're not there yet, we're not there yet, we're not there yet. It's like, look at how far we've come, man. Like, look at all of these things that our ancestors have, look at this road that our ancestors have laid out for us to be able to speak truth, that now we can even tell this story, right? We can even have a Zoom meeting and create a whole story called My Black Body Is, and, you know, celebrate the color of our skin. Like, we couldn't do that just so easily even 30 years ago, right? Just to be able to come together and celebrate this, and that GableStage is behind it. Not a Black theater, you know, is allowing us to celebrate our voices. I think that's a testament to what our ancestors have done for us.
And also that, you know, the audiences are here and showing up to listen, to learn. This is like a growth period, you know, and a growth spurt. Hopefully we're gonna get far in this moment together. And so I think this story is important now because people are listening, they are paying attention, you know, and it's time. Why not now?
When we're all able to be in the same space again, when we're all actually being able to create work and invite audiences in again, what does that future look like? What do you hope it looks like? What do you hope that room looks like when we get there?
I would definitely say more dialogue. So I do feel like, or let me just say, there's more listening on the other side. For the simple fact, I think dialogue happens, but it's not as much listening. So at times when we take up space, or at times when we say, hey, this is not how I think things should be done, there's typically tends to be a bit of a pushback, which I think, if anything, there's been now the space to just listen, or at least hear the other side now. So I'm hoping that when we come back into these creative spaces, mind you, because they are still problematic at times, but when we come back to creative spaces, there'll be more of an intention to listen rather than just speak or disregard.
Yeah, I hope that there is a merging of digital and live action plays, right? I would like to see theaters doing stuff like this, like commissioning digital projects, and that are also performed live in some way, or have some live aspect where you get to feature artists from across the country, but also you're featuring artists that are local. So you have this kind of mixing, merging of talent all across the globe. I think it would be really cool.
I want to see more technology incorporated into the arts. I want to see more technology incorporated into theater. And then secondly, what this has also afforded, and life in quarantine has afforded, is for people to use technology to tell their story. So more and more people are using art, are using technology, are using this platform to share something about themselves. And I think I've ever really experienced. I don't want to lose sight of that when we're all back. I think I want to see these stories. I want to see them being told creatively.
So I really want to see, when all of this is said and done, and we've done our listening, we've done our talking, we've said our piece, I want to see the theater and film reflect the world that I live in, which is not one type of person. I walk out of my door and I see all different types of people. And yes, there are productions that call for certain casts. I get that. But there's nothing wrong with a Asian Romeo and a Black Juliet and a Hispanic Mercutio. And I just think we're in a world where people can suspend their imaginations for 2.5 to 3 hours. If I can believe that there's a boy in Queens that shoots spider webs out of his arms for 2.5 hours, surely I can believe that this Hispanic person can play a traditionally white role, right?
And also in the belonging, the environment of belonging with the audiences, right? Like, it's who are we telling the stories for, and then making sure that everyone knows that they have access to these spaces, and all the different barriers that come along with that.
Right.
Theaters have learned to not live off of off of admission fees right now. Can we keep exploring that? Can we figure out what that means to get everyone to have access to your show, whether that's putting it in a digital format or making it free or affordable, or just increasing the belonging for everyone, not just the artists on stage and the production crews in the background and the administrators, but also the audience, which is, we have this, in a way, this kind of clean slate. Like, Corona gave us this etch-a-sketched everything, right? So it's like, well, let's start over, guys. What are we going to do?
It's true. We really have an opportunity not to start all over, but I think what I want to happen, especially after we are all able to go back, is I can't and I don't want to exist in an artistic world like the one in March 2020 or February 2020. I refuse to. I think we all have to keep showing artistic organizations, cultural organizations, regardless of queer, Black, Indigenous women, that we have a voice, that we have a dollar, and that we're not going to be afraid to really put our money where our mouth is. We've barely made a dent in what really needs to happen. So I'm excited. I want to see more of this, what's happening.
Well, I want to thank everybody for being here today. And I want to remind everybody watching today that My Black Body Is premieres on the GableStage website on August 7th at 7 p.m. Thank you guys for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret.